Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Earthly Headlines. Today I got a really good, interesting article that follows a story that has been unfolding for a few years now, for several reasons. Well, one very big reason. So, in West Java in Indonesia, there's this place called Gunung Padang or Gunung Padang. It's what has largely been speculated to be a subterranean pyramid. And it's not like a Mayan pyramid or the pyramid from Giza. It's very similar. It is a pyramid, but it's got a very peculiar shape. And I'll show you guys a picture of it in a second. Last month in December, the AGU had this huge meeting where it's basically a group of archaeologists and geologists and other scientists. The AGU meaning the American Geophysical Union. And in December 12th, they had this huge meeting and they shared their findings. And the lead archaeologist who was in charge of excavating some parts of Gunung Padang, doing some of the ground penetrating radar, all that stuff. His name is Danny Hillman Natawajaja, and he's American. I'm pretty sure. I think he went to Arizona State University. I think, I forget. But anyway, he and his team have been spending a lot of time in Indonesia for a long time now. And he was seeking to prove his suspicions. And what he presented was the evidence of this construction. I'll kind of walk you through the story, but let's just get through the bare bones first. So, in a nutshell, they found the remains of an ancient temple hidden underground for thousands and thousands of years. It's insanely old. So, it's at the top of Mount Padang, and it's in West Java. And the crazy thing about this site is, for the longest time, they discovered this site, but only the top part, because the top part was a separate archaeological site. So that site on the surface, at the top of this pyramid, or this hill, what was thought to be a hill, was discovered in the early 1800s. So it was kind of old news when Danny Hillman wanted to go back and do further research on it, because for the longest time they kind of thought, okay, yeah, this is our version of Stonehenge or whatever, because they had these huge basalt columns and they were arranged in a way where there were cores and they were propped up. It was a pretty peculiar site, and it's very, very, in and of itself, it's a very interesting and unique site. But this quote hill underneath it was really peculiar, because the archaeological site seemed very new at the top, but then everything else was eroded. So it led a lot of scientists to think, and especially Danny Hillman, that it was crafted by human hands. One of the geologists from Indonesia who supervised the core drilling that the whole team did, what he says is, and the fact that he's saying it is very interesting, because this guy's a mainstream science guy. So he says what is previously seen as just surface building, it's going down, and it's a huge structure. So what he means by that is the structure keeps going under the ground, underneath the foliage, underneath all that stuff. Part of the reason why they couldn't identify that it was a pyramid or an elongated pyramid was the fact that there's so much foliage around that it just made it look like a hill. It's very similar to the Bosnian pyramids, although I'm not sure if the Bosnian pyramids are natural or not. But if they are pyramids, then people didn't catch on because of the foliage. But I don't know if that's been proved either way. I'm not sure if the Bosnian pyramids are I think they're natural. But that's because I haven't seen any smoking gun evidence. But anyway, back to this site in Indonesia. So here's a photo of it. Let me get a better photo. So see, this is the top archaeological site that's about 3,700 years old, that they found in the early 1800s. Now, everything on the bottom here, this is a pyramid here. Now, to the untrained eye, it looks like it's just a hill. Like if you were to ride above with a helicopter, you wouldn't be able to really tell unless you had a trained eye. And then here is an image with some of the foliage removed, and you can see here, and here's a side view, that it definitely is something. So they divvied this up into 4 different layers. So the top layer is what I mentioned, the archaeological site, the original archaeological site. and then layer 2, and as you get deeper, the dates come out older and older, and the oldest date that is speculated is 28,000 years. That's incredible. That pushes it back one precessional cycle, if you guys are familiar with the precession of the equinoxes. So that's a long, long, long time. So there's this place with the megalith exposed at the top, and Danny Hillman's like, okay, I'm gonna seek to prove this. The reason why it took so long, because he decided to do this 10 plus years ago. There was government red tape. They let him excavate a little bit, and then I think the government, I think there was either a new president or someone, there was a change of power basically, and the new person didn't let him excavate it for the longest time, for about like 3.5-4 years. So he just was stuck for that long. He couldn't continue his investigation until now. He's able to resume. And then he did all that penetrating radar. He took a core sample, and then that's how we got. Like I said earlier, it differs from the Mayan pyramids because the Mayan pyramids are more symmetrical. This structure is elongated, and there appears to be a half circle in the front. So who knows what, like, in its heyday, like maybe it looked like it was like a crescent moon or something like that, or maybe it was a part of another complex of other pyramids or temples or something like that. But remember, if these dates hold true, even the dates that go beyond 12,000 years and maybe up to 28,000 years ago, that island, what's now an island, was the top of a mountain. So it must have looked like something out of a video game or a fantasy novel, because a pyramid sitting on top of a mountain, or a mountain range rather. This whole area must have been some holy site or something very, very significant to the culture at the time. So Danny and his colleagues suspected that the exposed megalith might be more than it appeared, because the partly exposed features in the existing archaeological site didn't match the standing stones. It's not like the surrounding topography, which is very much eroded. This looks very young. It looked artificial to us. He did not just ground penetrating radar, not just X-ray tomography. He did 2D and 3D imaging, core drilling, excavations, and then from the core drilling they took samples and dated those. So there's a lot of evidence that he calmly collected over years, and even getting cockblocked by the government didn't stop him. He just bided his time, and then up until now, where even Graham Hancock wrote about it in his both of his books, I think. A lot of people have covered what Gunung Padang could be, and now all of this exonerates him. So it kind of gets me excited too, because I had been following this story for a long time, and much to my chagrin, when I found out it was blocked, I got pretty mad at first, and then I just started reading up more and more about the surrounding area, what groups of people could have lived there, all the genetic history that's rich there, like the Denisovan people. It's speculated they crossed the Tibetan plateau and they came to what's now Australia and New Guinea and parts of Indonesia and Taiwan. So this whole area spread over 150,000 square meters. It had been built up over millennia with layers representing different periods. So this was an ongoing process. They kept building on top of it over and over again. Who knows why they did? Maybe it was just their cultural practice as a people that they taught the younger generation to continue this project. It could be that. It could be some other explanation that I can't think of right now. But as I mentioned, the very top were pillars of basalt rocks, and they're about 3,000 to 3,500 years old. Underneath the surface, about 10 feet or 3 meters in. There's a second layer that's about 7,500 to 8,300 years old. So if we go to this picture, it's this yellow layer here. So already we're getting close to the Younger Dryas at this yellow. And then the green, the third layer, is 49 feet below the surface and is more than 9,000 years old. And then the last layer could be as old as 28,000 years ago. They also detected chambers underground, multiple chambers underground. So they, using their radar, they found these cavities, which they They thought maybe it could be natural cavities, but upon closer inspection, they found that there were right angles. There were subsequent and successive chambers that were revealed from their ground penetrating radar and their core sample. They think that this place was used as a sacred destination for prayer and meditation and religious activity, and they still use it like this to this day. People make pilgrimages to the mountain. It's a huge deal in Indonesian, especially in Java, their culture. Where else in the earth do they have stuff like this? I know Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried, but that's not a pyramid, right? That it's definitely some sort of ceremonial site or something. This is a type of pyramid. Other places I can think of that might have structures that are as old or older than this or Göbekli Tepe. It has been heavily rumored that in Antarctica there are pyramids as well. The Mayan pyramids, of course, although those have a significantly younger date. There are a lot of people who think those dates aren't, that they're probably more. Or there's another camp of people who think the Mayan pyramids were built when they were dated, but they were inspired by older pyramids. So that could be a possibility too. Yeah, I don't know. All this is so mind-blowing, and I'm so happy that this is finally coming to light. So let me know what you guys think about this site and about other sites. Leave all your comments. I read every single comment. Sorry, I don't have the time to get to the comments in this video, but I will do a live stream either tomorrow or Friday, depending on a few appointments that I have tomorrow. But if I have time, I'm definitely going to do a live stream. Even if I have 1 or 2 viewers during live stream, I don't care. I'm just going to live stream the whole thing. You guys can always come back and view it. Hopefully it goes well. But I know for sure now that the technology I have supports live streaming. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, please. I appreciate all your feedback, and I'm really excited about this. So let me know, and I'll talk to you guys later.